Welcome to Alumni Angle, a podcast where we recognize extraordinary achievements of alumni within our Manhasset community. I'm Adriana Chan, and today we have a very special guest joining us. A Mark Van Shankoff Opus Scholarship recipient for the class of 2020, an all-Eastern vocalist, and a fencer on the varsity fencing team, Ashley Huber has paved her name into the list of notable Manhasset alumni. A passionate and dedicated student and musician, she has checked off all boxes in every category to excel into the well-rounded woman she has become today. Graduated from the Peabody Conservatory of the Johns Hopkins University a few weeks ago, she's here to join us on her musical journey throughout high school, lining her up for success in her future. Hello, Ashley. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course.
So for my first question, I guess, could you just run through your high school experience for us? Like your musical experience?
Sure. So all throughout freshman and high school, I was very musically involved. Freshman year, I was in concert choir with Mr. V, Mark Van Shankoff. And sophomore through senior year, I was a part of symphonic choir. And also sophomore through senior year, I was part of select ensemble, the after-school choir, which is now with Mr. Berry. And I also did vocal jazz my freshman year, and then I took a little break for sophomore and junior year, and senior year, I went back to doing vocal jazz. And on top of that, I was involved in the musicals. I loved doing the shows here. And many people are also very shocked to find out I was part of the fencing team for like freshman and junior year. I didn't really do it senior year, but yeah, I guess those were most of my high school involved activities.
And how did you find those passions?
Yeah, I've always loved music. I'm one of those girls whose dads, my dad was playing all of the different rock songs for me when I was growing up and being like, oh, who's this? And I'd be like, it's the Beatles, Dad, duh. So yeah, I was always listening to rock music or musicals or watching them on TV. And I think come fourth or fifth grade, I started to hear about NYSMA being a thing, the NYSMA festivals. And I liked singing. And I think I came home one day and I was like, Mom and Dad, can I do NYSMA? You go and you sing for a judge and they score you, and I'd like to take voice lessons. I think this would be fun. And I really just wanted to do it for fun. I never anticipated it being or becoming what it is now. But that's really when I started to pursue music, I guess, in fifth grade.
And then you found everything else, right?
Yeah. So in order to do NYSMA, or typically you get a voice teacher because you learn a solo piece. And then you also do sight reading. And I was set up I initially wanted to be with Mrs. Faltings, who was my music teacher at the time, but her studio was too full. So she was like, I know someone else who would be perfect. And her name is Jeannie O'Malley. And she was my voice teacher from then till I was a senior and I graduated. And yeah, I took private voice lessons with her for, I don't know how many years that is. That's like 9 years or something. And I learned so much with her. She's just the best ever. And I know there are still students at Manhasset today that study with her. So
I love Jeannie.
We love Jeannie. Jeannie's the best.
So, you've achieved some of the highest honors as a musician here at Manhasset, all state, all Eastern. It was obviously something you were so dedicated to. What was your plan to achieve those?
Yeah. So I guess just for any listeners who don't know what that whole process is like. So you go to NYSMA and you sing your piece and you do your sight reading and you get a score at the end of it. I think levels 1 and 2, it's out of 28, and then 3 and up. I could be so off, but at some point it's out of 100. And the higher your score is, or the more perfect, quote unquote, your score is, the more likely you are to be in all county or all state or all Eastern or even all national. And I was very fortunate. I got to be in all county because I had I guess good enough scores to be a part of it. And yeah, I continued doing NYSMA year after year. And once you get to level 5, there's 6 levels for NYSMA. But at some point you're ready to go to Allstate. And so I got a good enough score again where I got into Allstate, and then I also got into All Eastern, which is really cool. And as to like how I did that, at least for me, a huge part of it is the sight reading. I mean, that's how it is a huge part of it for everybody who does it. I just always wanted to be a better sight reader, and I always wanted to learn. And so like in choir, whenever Mr. V, who was my choir teacher for majority of my time at Manhasset, whenever he was not working with the soprano section, I was like looking over the next part of my music and trying to like solfege it out and figure out what my next notes would be so that when he came back, I was like ready to go. I used to go to church with my family on Sundays, and I would like open the hymnal book and I would like sight read in there. And Mr. V, even on the weekends, would host like sight reading practice sessions, and I would go all the time because I just wanted to like be a better sight reader so badly. It honestly had nothing to even do with NYSSMA or Allstate or All Eastern. I just like really had the desire to be better. But also I had really wonderful supportive teachers along the way. Like I already mentioned, Jeannie and Mr. V, they, I guess, saw something in me, and they put a lot of effort into me and wanting to make me the best I could be. And I would not have done anything that I accomplished without them. They were instrumental in me achieving what I did.
I think everyone like needs that guide.
100%.
In high school
it's
especially.
so important. It really is.
Even Jeannie still gives Mr. V's sight readings for NYSSMA.
And I saved them because one of my majors in college was music education, and I have all of his packets saved up for when I become a music teacher in a school, and I want to give them to my students because they're so useful and helpful.
Did you know what you wanted to major in?
I did. There's never a right time to figure out what you're going to do or what you want to do. And it's so different for everybody. I knew in middle school, I was like, I want to sing and I want to teach. Like, these are two things I am so passionate about. I want to do this forever. Like, this is what made me happiest. And so I did kind of know, like, 7th, 8th grade that, yes, this is music was what I wanted to do in whatever capacity it was.
Was there, like, anything when you were younger that, like, really sparked that?
I mean, I took dance classes since I was age 2, and I think I took class for like 16 years. And again, with my teachers that I've spoken about, also my elementary school teachers, Mrs. Duke and Mrs. Faltings, I'm so grateful to all of my teachers. Like, to this day, and like I said already, I just would not be the person I am without them. And I've always wanted to like pay it forward. So like they helped me, like I want to help people on their musical journey in the future. And so, yeah, like I said, I took dance from an early age too. And so I've just always had teachers in my life trying to help me and mold me. And I'm really grateful for that. And I think that's where like me wanting to be a teacher really came in. As for singing, I just like literally love to sing. There is nothing like singing and dancing and performing and acting. Like, there is nothing that brings me more joy. And I was like, this is what I have to do with my life. As cheesy as that sounds.
I mean, it's like, it's so fascinating that like you knew what you wanted to be.
Yeah. And I know it's not like that for a lot of people. Like, some people are 30 and they're like, I still don't know. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's so okay. But I've just known from like so early on, like, I really want to do this.
Is there anything else that you've like maybe thought about majoring?
That's such a great question. I mean, I thought if I wasn't going to do anything music, I thought like just a teacher of any kind. I always loved English. And I always loved history. So maybe like a teacher in that regard. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just remembered this. I wanted to be a vet for the longest time. I was like, I'm going to go to vet school and I know all these things about animals. And then I realized that I get like skeeved out by blood. And I was like, this is never going to work. It's just never going to work.
Besides like the music programs, what was your favorite class?
Okay, I loved Mr. Massetti's AP Gov class.
Oh, yes.
Shout out to Mr. Massetti. I love Mrs. O'Malley. Honestly, okay, we have incredible social studies / history teachers. Mr. DeRay, Mrs. Crawford, Mrs. O'Malley, Mr. Massetti. I think they were all of my high school teachers.
They're all still here.
They're all still here, and they killed it. I loved every single one of their classes. And I really liked English too. We had English with Mrs. Harwood, or Miss Harwood, who does not teach here anymore. And I loved her class as well. But yeah, I would say we have a pretty awesome social studies department.
100%.
Props to them.
Yeah.
They kill it.
So a lot of high schoolers struggle with what to do over the summer. Is there any program that like you fell in love with or you would recommend?
Yeah. I did a few, like every summer I was like doing different things. Sometimes I did shows. Sometimes I just did like singing programs. I did for 2 years the Queen's Summer Vocal Institute, also known as QSVI for short. And it's a week-long program. It's not hardcore, but you go and you're working. You're working there. You're having lessons. You're having coachings, which for people that don't know the difference between like a voice lesson and a vocal coaching, in a lesson, you're really working more on technique. And in a coaching, you're working on fine-tuning the performance overall, I would say. So maybe you're acting or like how you're portraying it to the audience, which is so great that they offer all of these things. There are master classes and also choir or like choral opportunities within the program. I do think it has changed a little bit since I've been there last. They do more opera scenes and things like that, or full-on operas, which is super cool. But yeah, that was a wonderful program. And one other program I did that I would recommend is the Oyster Bay Music Festival. It's also like about a week long, and it's very performance intensive. I was very young when I did it, and I thought it was very eye-opening for me. I would love to do it again now that I'm older. But I remember talking to the main lady in charge and being like, what do you want me to sing tomorrow? I just want to make sure I have it prepared. And she was like, just bring everything you know. And I was so stressed. I'm such a, like, I want to be prepared when I show up to perform something, and I want to make sure I've rehearsed it. I'm so not an on the fly, like, and you know this, go sing it right now. And that's very much how this program is. But it's also so great. It made me work really hard. And if you are a person that wants to perform and you want to sing and you want to be able to just like quickly get up on a stage or in front of an audience and be able to sing, I highly recommend it. It was very beneficial.
And it teaches you a lot more than just like having something prepared.
Yeah. I mean, there's also this idea of being in this field where it's never really going to be perfect. And that's so okay. And that's so wonderful. Like every time you go up on a stage or get up in front of an audience to perform, it's going to be a different performance. Something might go wrong. Your voice might crack. You might be a little bit sick. And that's so okay. And I think this program really helped me to understand and realize like not every performance is going to be perfect. They can't be perfect. But you just work as hard as you can to get them to be the best you can make them. And that's perfect in itself.
And it also explains so much about life also.
Yes.
Not everything's going to be perfect.
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah.
Just have to go with the flow.
Exactly.
So for you, how were college apps like?
Oh, it was a very stressful experience. I will not even lie. And I know that's how it is for everybody. For you know, I don't say this to like pat myself on the back, but like while I was at Manhasset, I was taking a lot of APs. I was taking a lot of hard classes. On top of that, I was in different honor societies after school that I needed to have my time committed to. I was in the musical, which was a very big time commitment. And also on top of that, I was taking my voice lessons and preparing for pre-screens. Yes. Now, for audience members that don't know what a pre-screen is, basically, if you decide to go to music school, which I went to music school, you do your normal college application like everybody else does, your essays, your Common App, your questions, blah, blah, blah. Additionally, you need to prepare pre-screens, which are videos of you singing that you then send to the school, and usually along with maybe like a headshot and a resume. and they review those videos, and based on your Common App and your pre-screen, they may invite you back for a live audition. So like all the school things going on and like the normal application process plus extracurriculars and all the music and then the intensity of college apps. It was a lot and I was very stressed out. The best advice I could give to anyone, I guess it's like two different things. One is make sure you are applying to college for something you feel motivated to do and will make you happy. We in Manhasset work very hard and put a lot of stress on ourselves. It's a very hard working environment. It's a competitive environment, and there's a lot of like to major in things they didn't necessarily love. And I think that makes the application process even harder. One of the pieces of advice I would give is make sure you're applying to do something you love and that you are really passionate about and that you will want to be doing potentially for the rest of your life. There is wiggle room. You know, I think Manhasset is very good at prepping us for college and prepping us for life, but it's so important to remember that like you can go to college and then do something different afterwards. Like there is that space there, but make sure you're doing something you love. And if you don't know what you want to do, that's so cool too. Go in undecided. Yeah. That is more than okay, more than acceptable. And my second piece of advice is like, make sure you're taking care of your mental health. And while in this crazy process, doing something you love. Yeah. We, as I mentioned, did Grease as my senior musical, our senior musical. And it is maybe the highlight of my entire time here at Manhasset. It was the most wonderful bonding experience going to those rehearsals. We all had so many laughs and had a great time, and it's Grease. Like who doesn't love Grease? Yeah. It's such a fun show. So make sure you're doing something outside of school and outside of these applications that's going to make you happy and that you're going to love.
So how did you balance your like academics, extracurriculars, and also traveling for live auditions?
Yeah, I mean, like nobody wants to hear it. I feel like this is the really boring answer, but like organization. I was just really organized. My parents were super helpful in the whole process of whether it was helping me stay on top of things or proofreading things for me or also helping me travel from place to place. Make sure you have those people in your life who are going to lift you up and support you and drive you to a different state. It doesn't have to be your parents. It could be a friend. It could be another family member. But like having these people in your life that are going to help you out is so important. But I was organized. I had like spreadsheets and you know, my calendar was full and all the things that the guidance department tells you to do, I did, and it was very helpful at the end of the day.
It's very important to have that support system.
Yes. And again, family is not the support system for everyone. Like some people don't have that, and that's so okay, but your friends are often your family as well, you know?
I don't think anyone would be where they are without their support system.
Yeah. Teachers as well. Your teachers, your friends, your family, they're all so valuable in this process.
So moving on to college, which congratulations, by the way, for graduating.
Thank you.
How did you know Peabody was the place for you?
Okay. Backing up, basically in, I think like 10th grade, I want to say, Mr. V, who I don't know how much like the audience knows about him, but he was the choir teacher here at Manhasset for so many years. I don't even know how many years specifically, but he was a really life-changing person. He really impacted the Manhasset community in the greatest, most positive, wonderful way. And it was such an honor to be in his classroom every day and to have his support. I think, like I was saying, sophomore year, he invited me and my parents over to his house to discuss my future. He like wanted to do that. And not many teachers will invite you to their home with your parents to discuss your future. Like that already, you know, goes to just show you how special he was. And we went over and he was like, I think Ashley could go to a conservatory for music. And my parents and I were like, what? Are you like crazy? You think we can do that? Or you think I can do that? And he mentioned Peabody, which the like full formal name is the Peabody Conservatory of the Johns Hopkins University. And Johns Hopkins is obviously a very prestigious university. And I remember my parents and I looking at each other like, oh, like you think I can go there? Like, I don't think I can go there. Are you serious? And he was like, oh, she absolutely could go there. And we were like, well, I guess we'll have to check it out. And so like everybody does, we compiled our list of schools that I was interested in. And my brother played hockey at the time, and he had a hockey tournament in Maryland or something. And on an off day, my dad and my brother, we drove to Peabody in Baltimore and looked at the school. And just immediately after being there, I was like, this is where I want to go. It was the very first school I ever visited. And I was just like, this is where I want to be. It was the combination of like being a top conservatory in the country and the world, but also being part of Hopkins was a huge deal because I would have access to so many opportunities at Hopkins as well. And yeah, from then on, it was just my number one school. And I guess that's kind of how I knew. I have a funny story about the day I auditioned at Peabody. I woke up, and because it was my first choice, and it was, of all of the schools I received a live audition at, it was the most prestigious and it was the most difficult one to get into. And I was so nervous, and I woke up and I started crying, and I was like, I can't go. I was like, I can't audition here. I don't deserve this. Like, why would I get in there? And again, I called Jeannie O'Malley, my voice teacher, and I was like, I can't do this. I was like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, why did they even call me? Like, why did they give me an audition? And she was like, you got an audition because you do deserve to be here. And sure enough, I forget the date exactly it was like April 20th or April 18th, something like that. I got my decision and I got in. And once again, I cried because I was like, I can't believe I got in here. But at least for me, I know it's not like that for everybody, but I just knew. I had a gut feeling like this is where I'm supposed to be.
What's your favorite part of Peabody?
It is tiny. It is a tiny school. I think in total with like the undergrad students and the graduate students and your certificate students or your diploma students and your doctoral, it's like 700 students. It is a tiny school. I think my graduation, I graduated with like 100 kids.
That's a quick graduation.
It was, and it was incredible. But I feel like I really knew the people I went to school with. Like, I'm such a people person. I can talk and talk and talk, as you can see, as I continue to yap away on your podcast. But I just like love talking to people. I love like walking down the halls and, oh, hey, hi, how are you? Oh, how was that class? Did your test go well? How was your jury? Like blah, blah, blah. And I loved how small it was because I loved having this sense of community and knowing everybody I was going to school with, or knowing majority of the people I was going to school with.
You were able to build a special bond.
I was. It really was so special. I'm like very grateful for my time there.
So obviously you've graduated. What do you plan to do after college?
I am actually going to graduate school in the fall. I'm attending NYU Steinhardt to pursue musical theater and vocal pedagogy. In my undergrad, I studied classical voice, which is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted that like classical training under my belt, but my real love is for musical theater. And so I was like, I need to do this. I want to learn more. I still have so much more to learn. And NYU had like the perfect program for me. And again, I got in and I cried as I do. And the rest is history. I'm going there in the fall and I cannot wait.
And you're close by home.
Yeah, I'm going to be living at home and commuting, and it's going to be awesome. I really cannot wait.
It's amazing that you have your classical training.
Yes.
Because overall, classical is probably like the fundamentals.
Yeah, it's like, a lot of dancers, they will say, like you can do jazz, you can do tap, but you have to do ballet.
Yes.
It is the foundation for all dance. And I would say for a lot of the time, that's like also how it goes with classical, just learning how to like control your breathing or any of the other technicalities. Like you look at someone like Lady Gaga, she's classically trained and she's singing pop rock music. Like that's what she's chosen to do, which is amazing. And I hope to also do that one day too. It prevents injury. It just you'll just be singing in a healthy way, and it's ensured that you will be singing in a healthy way. And I think that's great. That's exactly why I did it.
Do you want to release music in the future?
Maybe. I don't know if I would write original music. I don't really write music. I love singing the music other people wrote. Yeah. So maybe one day I will release something else. And we talked about this before we started recording, but I've been doing a little bit of jazz also recently. So maybe, who knows, one day I'll release like an album of jazz standards or, a bunch of covers of musical theater tunes, and that would be awesome.
What was it like exploring different genres?
I'm such a genre crossover person. Like I just want to sing everything all the time. I have such a love for everything. I love classical music. I love pop music. I love R&B and jazz and musical theater. It is challenging. And especially with me doing jazz at first, it was very humbling because classical music is like, here's the sheet music. You do exactly as it says in the music. And jazz, it's like, it's a lot based on feeling. How are you interpreting the beat and the rhythm and the chords that you're given for the tune that you're singing? And so on a normal basis, I'm like perfectionist singing girl because of the classical training, and then doing jazz, it's a whole other ball game. But it's so fun, and I think it's made me a better musician, and it's made me more versatile, which is awesome and super great at the end of the day.
That's exactly how I felt. I was singing it and I'm like, wow, this is so hard.
It's so hard. And when I've sung jazz, I've done very little jazz in my time, but I don't even scat. I'm not even at the level of scatting yet. Like that's a whole other, situation that I'm not ready for. But one day, maybe one day I'll be ready for it.
Okay. So in the end, is there any piece of advice you would give to an underclassman?
Yes. It is so important to care about your mental health. High school is very challenging, is a very tough time for so many reasons. It can be difficult socially, it can be challenging academically. You have to do things that make you happy. You won't be successful in your classes, and you won't be successful in your personal life. And, what is success? We all measure success differently. For me, success is like, I just want to be happy, and I want to make other people happy, and I want to feel good about what I'm putting out into the world with my music or the work that I'm accomplishing in a classroom or at a job. But take care of yourself. Get enough sleep. It's so cheesy, but like, get enough sleep. It's something I'm still learning. Get enough sleep. Eat right. Hang out with your friends. Go get a coffee. Go read a book. Take a nap. Watch your favorite show. Take voice lessons. Do a sport. Take dance class. Do gymnastics. Do archery, like whatever it is that makes you happy and is going to let you decompress so that you're able to take the time to do everything else you need to do. That's my piece of advice.
So we have rapid fire questions.
Okay, I'm so ready.
Classical or musical theater?
Musical theater.
If you had an intro song, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Okay, it would be What's Up by the Four Non Blondes. Do you know that song? Hey, yeah. That would be my intro song for sure. At least as of right now.
What's your favorite song?
That's a crazy question. Oh my gosh. I'm going to say Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. That I used to hate that song. This is so not rapid fire. I'm so sorry that I'm yapping so much. I used to hate that song. It was so sad and scary to me. And I think it is so beautiful now. And I cannot possibly pick a favorite, but it's certainly one of them. It's up there.
Favorite artist?
I'm I'm loving the new Ariana Grande album.
Mm-hmm.
She, again, I cannot possibly pick a favorite artist, but she's up there. I love Billy Joel. I love the Bee Gees. I love Elton John and Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't think I said them yet.
Savory or sweet?
Sweet.
Favorite season?
Summer.
If you could play an instrument, what would you play?
Piano or guitar or saxophone or drums.
All right. Those are our rapid fire questions.
Okay, amazing.
Thank you, Ashley, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful you're able to join us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
And the audience will get to learn so much about you.
How exciting is that? Yay, audience. You're going to learn so much about me. Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Adriana Chan, and tune in next time to hear about our next alumni gracing our presence here on Alumni Angle. And thank you for listening.